Hey everyone, this is Teresa from Base 10 Montessori, and today I'm going to show you division using the stamp game. And if you can see the little visual I gave you here, that actually is is a copy of a picture from my album showing the stamp game. So I had to create um, all these visuals in my album of the stamp game, and this is one of the ones I did for division. Takes a lot of work, so I just thought I'd point that out so I could get a little credit here. Anyway, so this is division. We finally made it. And I love division. It's one of my favorite lessons to give in the math section of the Montessori classroom for the primary age group. And let me move on to the next slide. And the reason why I'm showing you these slides first before just jumping right into giving you a presentation of the stamp game like I did in my other videos is because division works different in a lot of different ways. And I figured there were enough things that were different. I wanted to go over those first so that I didn't forget any important points because it does work differently. So I'm going to go through these slides first, and then I'm going to jump into giving you a presentation. So if you don't want to listen to any of this extra stuff, just skip ahead, and there is an actual presentation in this video. It's not just me reading slides to you. But first, I really want to give you the background information on division and tell you about what's different so that you have that information up front and that you can both hear it and see it. So first of all, the prerequisites. What has the child done before they get to division with the stamp game? And of course, the first thing to say is they've done addition, subtraction, and multiplication with the stamp game. Now, before they do division with the stamp game, they've done division with another material in the classroom. What material is that? That is the golden bead system, and they have done both static and dynamic division, short division, with the golden beads around the age of 4. And if you're thinking, Teresa, you do division with 4-year-olds in your classroom? Yes, I do division with my 4-year-olds in my classroom. Sometimes they're 5 when they start, sometimes they're 4. And if you're wondering how that works, it works beautifully. Not only does it work beautifully, it tends to be the lesson that all my students really want. So they wait for the moment they get to do division because there's something special about division that a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old is very interested in. And that is the one thing that makes division different. What is division? Well, it's sharing equally. And if you know anything about 4 and 5-year-olds sharing equally, they are very invested in this concept. So it's all about presentation, right? It's all about how you present it. So when we go through the golden bead system, I have a large amount of golden beads and I tell them, well, I have all these golden beads and I have 3 students here. I need to share equally with them. So then I show them how to share equally with the golden beads. And so the 4-year-olds absolutely love this. The 3-year-olds love this. And in fact, a lot of the times the younger children, the 3 younger 4-year-olds will say, oh, when can I do division? I want to do division. And I say, oh my goodness, I can't wait to show you division. But first, you have to work on addition, subtraction, and multiplication. And then once you work on all of those, then I get to show you division. Or if it's an even younger child that needs a little bit of motivation with numbers 1 through 10, I'll say, oh, I can't wait to show you division. But first, what comes first? Let's go to our shelf and let's look at the journey to division, and I'll show them all the lessons that they need to work through to get the division lesson. And this helps them get a little bit of motivation. So when I do the division lesson with golden beads, I like to have 3 students and I get all these golden beads and I share them equally. And when I do that, I give them the definition of division. And basically, I've already given you the definition of division, and that is when we have a large number and we want to share it equally. Now, when we give this definition of division, we also have to give these 3 rules before we start division so that we can share equally, right? We have to have 3 rules. The first rule of division is we have to start with the largest category, which on the stamp game is going to be the left side. Now, we've been working on the right side of the stamp game, right? Right to left. Not so with division. Division's going to be different. We're going to start with the largest category and we're going to work our way to the smallest. So that's rule number 1. The second rule is we have to share equally. And this is where you get their attention right here. You got to share equally. I would even say that if I was to say there's a point of interest in division, that would be it, sharing equally. So We have to share equally is rule number 2. And the third rule that I introduce them to when they're younger with the golden bead system is the answer is what one person gets. Because remember, I've got all these beautiful golden beads and I'm sharing them with my students. But when it comes to doing the operation, the actual answer is only what one person gets, not what all of them combined are, right? Because if we go back to combining them all together, we've got our dividend again, and that's not the answer. That's not the quotient, right? So that's where the child has already been. And now we're moving on to what they're actually going to learn next. And that is what they're doing during the stamp game. Now, as I've stated before, the stamp game is the place where we give a lot of language for the operation. So we orient them to the division with the stamp game with our language and then showing them how to write it. The language for the stamp game, our large number that we want to share equally, our large number is our dividend. So we're going to point that out to the child. And then we're going to show them the division sign. So we're going to show them what that looks like, which means that we're writing it on regular paper and we're not doing the stamp game paper this time because we want to show the division sign, the symbol for it. And then we're going to show them what the divisor is. And if you're doing the golden bead system, what is the divisor? Well, the divisor would be the students that you're sharing the golden beads with. But in the stamp game, it's going to be the Skittles. And then, of course, our answer is the quotient, what one person has. But in the stamp game, it's going to be what one Skittle has. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a few minutes. So anyways, like I said before, we don't start out using the stamp game paper for division. Now, there is a variation of this where you can do that. I would encourage you to write it either on graph paper or blank paper, because really, when it comes to doing the stamp game and doing that orientation and showing them how to do the language for division, I like showing the division sign, and that symbol I like writing out. So on one line, and I'll show you what that looks like further in the video. So if you're not understanding what I'm saying, don't worry about it. You're going to see it here in a few minutes. So anyways, when we get into division, we start setting up our operation. The stamps are the dividend. The Skittles are going to be the divisors. And we're going to show the discs as well. There's little discs inside the box, and those are to represent 0. So when you see 0 in an equation, that's what the discs are for. And then, of course, we're also going to show the child eventually how to do a remainder with the stamp game. And when we're doing the division with a remainder, I'm going to show them, first of all, how to write the remainder. But also, this is a good time for you to introduce to the child that when they have a remainder, it has to be smaller than the divisor. So the divisor's 3, you have to have a remainder less than 3, right? So that's another thing that you can introduce with the stamp game with division. And today I'm just going to go and show you a presentation, a very shorter presentation. I'm not going to go through all of the stamp game lessons possible. I just want to give you a taste today, and I think that'll be more than enough to get you started. So today we're going to go over short division, and that's both static and dynamic. Today I'm going to show you how to do the remainder as well. If that's not enough for you, I understand. I have more lessons I can give on division using the stamp game. I can show you long division. I can show you 0 in the divisor. I can show you 0 in the divisor and the dividend in the units only. And then I can also show you group division. I might actually do a longer video for group division because you start out with the golden beads and then you work into the stamp game. So that's a little bit longer. But those I'm not going to do today. I'm just going to do static and dynamic short division. And that'll be the one you typically use, right? However, long division's not so bad. It's kind of fun as well. So I will be sure to make a video on that. Now, to finish up with our slides at this point, before I jump into the video presentation, I just want to remind you that the control of error in the stamp game in these operations is in the process, not the result. So if you have a child that's not getting the right answer, just make a mental note of it. Observe it. You might need to come back and represent something to the child, but we're not interested in correcting the child at this point. We're not giving them a control of error to go check their answers. We're interested in the process, not the result. And that's what this is all about. Now, this is, of course, for 3 to 6-year-old child. If you have a little bit of an older child, a child that's in that what we call the second plane of development, a child that's more in the elementary level, you might want to give them the opportunity to correct their work. It's always better if they can get the answer from a source outside of the adult. So if you have a way for them to correct their answer, a control of error to help them correct their answer, that would be great. Maybe you want to introduce the calculator at that point in time and say, can I check my answers with a calculator or something like that? So if it's elementary age and they're a little bit older, you might want to start working in a control of error. But if you're in that 3 to 6 age group, not necessary. We're just going to focus on the process. And of course, the purpose. What is the purpose of doing the division with the stamp game? It's to learn division and also to learn how to exchange for the next category lower, which is another difference in the stamp game, right? You got to exchange lower this time. And the target age for this in a Montessori classroom, in an AMI Montessori classroom, about the age of 5. And like I said, children love sharing equally. They love division. Don't underestimate them. Now use this as a motivation too. Say, oh, I can't wait to show you division, but you know, you got to do addition or you got to do subtraction or we got to get through multiplication first. And so give them some motivation to get to division because they're going to be intrigued with the materials. So give them a little motivation saying, I can't wait to show you this lesson, but you got to get through this other stuff first. So anyways, that's all I have for you in this part of the video, but I'm going to stop right now and I'm going to cut over to giving you the presentation of what it actually looks like to give a lesson on division with the stamp game. All right, so here we are with the stamp game and division. And as usual, let's go through our orientation to where we are with this operation. So first thing I'm going to show them is our first number, the 9,639. That is our dividend. Here is our divisor sign, or our division sign, and here is our divisor. What is our divisor here? 3. 3 what? 3 units. That's very important. So remember, this is 3 units. And here's our equal sign. This will be the operation we do next. I'm only going to do static and dynamic short division today. If you are really desperate for a long division lesson, let me know below and I'll try to get on that. But I figured for right now, let's just focus on really simple division. So let's stick with the short division and then I'll make a separate video for long division because sometimes all those different lessons can get a little bit tricky. Okay, so we've got our equation right here. You've learned what each part of the equation is. I'm going to set that down. And now we're going to take a look at the stamp game. I've already set up our first number, our dividend. So I've set up our dividend. These are our stamps, our dividend. And now, if you can see here inside the box, there's these other things that the child has been waiting to work with for several operations now. We have the Skittles and we have the discs. And as you can see, there are different colors, and you can probably guess why they're different colors. So these are called Skittles, and the Skittles are actually our divisors. Now, our divisor in this problem is 3. 3 what? 3 units. So it's not tens, because if they were tens, we would have to use the blue, right? And if they were hundreds, we'd have to use the red. But they're not tens or hundreds, they're just units. So how many units? 1, 2, 3. So right there, we're going to get our divisors out. Those are 3 units. Let me put that down. So we've got our 3 Skittles for our 3 units that we're going to use with our divisor. Give them a little space between each one. And notice, I set up the dividend down low. A lot of the times we start out at the very top of the box, but not with division. Division, we really want to put that dividend down below. Now, because the child has worked with the golden bead system, they already understand the definition of division. What is the definition? Well, the definition is when we have a large number and we want to share equally. So what are the rules? The rules of division are, there are 3 of them. We have to start with our largest category. We have to share equally. And the answer is what one person or one Skittle has. So there's our definition. There are our rules for division. There's the language for division. Now let's actually share equally, starting with the largest category. Here we go. And this next part is very important. When I went to training, if you're going to do division, you've got to say 1 for you, 1 for you, and 1 for you. So practice that at home. 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you. Okay, we shared equally, but we have more. We can keep going, right? All right, let's keep going. 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you. Oh, we can keep going. 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you. You have to say 1 for you. It's a rule. If you don't like it, that's too bad. You got to say it. Now we're out of thousands. So what do we do next? We go to the next one lower. 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you. 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you. Oh, we're out of the hundreds. 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you. Now we've made it to the units. 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you. 1 for you, 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 1 for you. Look at that, we shared equally. Now the answer is what one person or one Skittle has. So let's write our answer. How many thousands does one Skittle have? 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. So we have 3. How many hundreds? 2. How many tens? Just 1. And how many units? 3. So we started out with 9,639, and we divided it by 3, and our answer, or our quotient, is 3,213. Now we know that in division, sometimes things don't divide equally. So let's put this back. I'm going to use the same number again, but I'm going to change our divisors. No, actually, I'm keeping the divisor the same. I'm going to change our dividend just a little bit. And this time, instead of 3 tens, we're going to do 5 tens. Here we go. I'll set that up in just a second. I'll get my ruler out and I'll make it beautiful in just a second. So I'm going to keep the divisor the same and just change the tens in the dividend. Let's make this beautiful. Isn't that satisfying? If it's not satisfying, you're probably an elementary teacher, right? Not a primary teacher. So we say, right? Maybe that's not true. I don't know. I'll try not to spend all my time playing with the stamps and straightening them. But it's really driving me nuts that they're not quite even. I'm going to go ahead anyways for the sake of time. So now, this time we got to share evenly again, right? And we're going to get to this lesson. This lesson would come after the child has already practiced that static division over and over again and have a really good feel for it. So don't move on until the child has already done the other lesson proficiently. We don't want to introduce something new until they've mastered the thing that they're working on. So 1 for you, got to say it every time. 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you. And this is the one where the child really does need to organize their work. This is hard for some children with disabilities, so they might need a little bit of help, right? 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you. 1 for you, 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 1 for you. Oh, stop. Can we share the tens equally? No, we can't. I'm going to move the units out of the way just a little bit because this is going to get a little messy. Okay. So we have these two 10s that don't share equally, right? Well, we have to share equally. I mean, that's what division's all about. And how are we going to do that if we can't share it equally? All right, can make a little bit of room here. What do we have to do? We have to exchange, right? So how many units does it take to make 10? 10. So let's count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, that's 10. So we have 10 here. I have the 10, right? But it can't be shared equally, so I have to exchange it. I have my 10 units. I have this that can go back in. Now let's just double check as we count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. And yes, it's a little messy. I'm going to keep it messy for this time because I'm trying to keep my videos down a little bit in time so it's not quite so long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I've got 10 here. What do we do with that one? Well, it goes back into the box, right? So let's count again. I'll do it to this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And here I would just reorient any that might be upside down or sideways, because orientation is really important, especially if you have a child that's really struggling with dyslexia or a child with ADHD that's really struggling with organizing their work. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so our original row is right here. It's got 9, and then we have 10 and 10. And this is where it kind of, your space gets a little bit tricky. But I didn't want to put this one over here because I was running out of space. So we can always move it down, but just keep in mind the space that you need to work with it. And then you can also do one at a time too. You can exchange 1 10, share equally, exchange the next 10, share that one equally, and then move on to that last row. So that's a different way of doing it. If you don't like the way I did it, there is another option. So now we have to start sharing equally again, right? So 1 for you, 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 1 for you. I'm going to go over to the side. 1 for you, 1 for you. If they start getting lost in their work, just count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. We're still even on the ones. That means we're in the right spot. So if you start to see that it's uneven, just remind them they can count each one. 1 for you, 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 1 for you. Sometimes we need to push them up a little bit. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? We're even. So that means we can keep going. 1 for you, 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 1 for you. Can we share these equally? We cannot, and this is where we want to show them how to do a remainder. But first, we're going to write our number like we usually do. And usually I'd keep a red pencil on hand to write the remainder, but I don't have a red pencil on me right now. So let's count our answer. 1, 2, 3. 3,000. 1, 2, 200. 110. How many units? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, that was close, right? Just 9. Let me go see if I can grab a red pencil. I think I might still... I think I took my pencils outside when I was doing a nature sketch yesterday, so I don't have my red pencils in here. Oh, wait. Hold on. Look at that. Right nearby. Perfect. And I have these two at the very end that can't be shared equally. And so what I call those is a remainder. So this is how we write the remainder. We're going to use the letter R for remainder. R. Yep. And how many? 2. So our answer is 3,219 with a remainder of 2. And that's how we would show that. So we have 2 left over that we can't share equally. And that is very easily how we do short division. Now, next time I show you the stamp game, I'm going to show you all the different types of long division that we can do. And it gets to be really fun. Group division gets kind of big too. I had one child do a group division so big, it took the whole entire table. So it gets to be a very long work eventually. But this would be about what you're going to look at with as far as giving lessons in a kindergarten room in Montessori. We might go on a little bit to long division. However, a lot of the times we just get that short division done, both static and dynamic, and then we move on to the more abstract materials, and then we might come back and revisit long division eventually. But yeah, this is my kindergartners do division. They love it. They have fun. They love it so much that a lot of the times this is one thing I've had to realize about when I give this lesson is that my students don't refer to it as division. They refer to it as sharing equally. So that sharing equally really gets into their brain, and they often forget that the name for this operation is called division. They just keep calling it sharing equally. So that's one thing I'm like, oh, I probably should emphasize the word division a little bit more. But that sharing equally, you know what? You just can't get away from it. It's really fun. And the one for you, one for you, one for you. Well, I don't know where anyone else got trained, but at MISD out in San Diego, Dr. Sylvia Dubovoy gave us this presentation, and it was heavily emphasized. You have to do the one for you, one for you, one for you. So if you don't do the one for you, I'm going to be disappointed, because that's how I was taught. You have to say the one for you. It's actually written in my album, those words specifically. You have to say them. So if you also have a training center that's not San Diego, and you also had to say one for you, leave a comment below. I'd like to know who else got to have that lesson and listen to it, and make sure you say it every single time. It's kind of just something that sticks with you. Once you go through training, you can't not say it. You just have to. So anyways, I hope you like what I did today. If you did, give it the video a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. That always helps. And of course, share this video with others. That helps most of all. And if you really like what I'm doing, maybe subscribe to the channel, because that would help my channel grow, and that would be great. And that's all I have for you today. But don't worry, I've got another video on the next chapter of the Absorbent Mind, and it's the chapter on biology. And I'm making my way through. If you caught my last video, you know biology is not my favorite subject. So I'm almost done with that one, and I'll have that one out soon too, as well. So I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend if you are here in the States. And if you are in other places in the world, I hope you're having a beautiful week as well. So I will see you in the next video.